Okay, so we should be live now. I think that's saying that we're live, yes. Okay, so welcome to this is the fourth K9 live talk. Tonight's guest speaker is Kenan Muftic from the Norwegian People's Aid Global Training Centre for Detection Dogs. So he'll be coming in shortly. I just want to thank everybody for I was just been talking to Kenan about the overwhelming support and emails and messages that we've been receiving since I started this. So this is the fourth one, and the previous three talks that we've done so far have actually, through Facebook, YouTube, and our website, have been viewed 8,600 times now. So that's just unbelievable, and that's what I wanted to do, was to use this platform to share knowledge and speak to great people. So I shall bring in Kenan now. Here he is. Good evening, Kenan.
Good evening, Stu. Hi, everybody.
So, Kenan, thank you for agreeing to do this K9 live talk. You're live in Sarajevo?
Yeah, still alive.
Yeah.
And, thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's honor, and I'm happy to be here and share some ideas and experiences.
No, thank you very much for coming on. Now, just the first time that I met you, Kenan, was a couple of years ago in the United Nations in Copenhagen at an explosive detection, a 2-day event that they had there. And I must admit, until I heard where you were from, I'd never heard of Norwegian People's Aid. So, and quite possibly, like a number of other people around the world that might not, have heard of NPA. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you get into dog work? How did your career start? First off.
Oh wow. Yeah, maybe first few words about Norwegian People's Aid. This is I'm actually surprised that you didn't hear before about us, but this is quite a big organization, humanitarian and organizations that promotes actually right values. I would proudly say, and founded by Norwegian Union more than 70 years ago, and got involved in humanitarian mine clearance about 30 years ago, something like that, and also have this global training center for the mine detection dogs where I work. And Norwegian People's Aid have programs in more than 30 countries worldwide. More than 20 countries. It's involved in humanitarian mine action and in disarmament. And in 10 countries, we use mine detection dogs today. And Norwegian People's Aid Global Training Center was involved in 24 countries, providing dogs training or technical assistance, most for our own programs, but some other organizations as well. And how I got there, and some 30 years ago, I was a kid, and I liked dogs, and I had my dog, and I was really keen on communicating and try to train with my dogs, and soon I ended up in dog shows and sports training events. And then we got a war in Bosnia, and I became policeman dog handler. And so I was more 2.5 years or something, I was a police dog handler in Bosnian police. And but after the war was over, I got civilian again and continue where I stopped. So learning about dog training. So I was often in Croatia, learning from the people there how to work with dogs. Got involved in IPO and IGP today. Yeah, it's changed. I wasn't in this sport for a while, and soon after the war, I got in touch with Norwegian people, but start working for them in '98. And at that time, we were a small team of few people, and it didn't go very well. That Norwegian people at the same time had projects in Mozambique and Angola. I mean, projects with the dogs. And we had few dogs from Sweden and also ordered few dogs from USA. And but generally, we were struggling to get these dogs operational and to find some minds actually. And soon we started to exploring the ways of using and training dogs ourselves, and then started with retrain some of our old dogs, and also got some new semi-trained dogs. So we started completing training ourselves, and soon we started the training our dogs from by ourselves from scratch. And at that time, humanitarian mine action world was like developing, and everything was becoming standardized, and bit by bit we were becoming more successful. And sometimes it's 20 years ago now, 2000, and we were recognized as a example of good practice by international organization and Geneva Center for Humanitarian Demining, which was like under United Nations for standardization and support to mine action globally. And it was recommended to MPA that we should implement the same model, the same system to other programs where we use dogs. So we went to Angola and transfer some dogs there and train our people there to our way, and soon after to Mozambique, and later got involved in Cambodia. And in 2004, Norwegian people made decision to establish own global training center. So for purpose of providing dogs and the technical support to all our mine action programs. And yes, so the center was founded in spring 2004 with the ambition to provide about 10 dogs to our programs and to deploy them in the minefields. And today we have over 550 dogs transferred to our programs, and also partner organizations, and bred over 1,000 dogs, and deployed in several countries, and got some internal capacities developed. So several technical field managers are trained in our centers, and also I think more than 100 dog handlers in different countries. I worked in Ethiopia more than 2 years. Later, in Tajikistan for 1.5 years, something. Visited several of these countries, and we had successful programs in, as I said, at least 18 MPA countries, and but also, supporting other organizations in Afghanistan, in Cambodia, in DR Congo, and these days expecting Yemenis guys to come to our center to be trained as dog handlers. So short introduction,
Yes. Now, I have been really lucky enough to visit your training centre earlier this year. Myself and Damir visited you, and I've visited lots of dog schools and dog training centres in different parts of the world. Your dog training centre is quite is quite amazing, really, and obviously the work that you do with mind detection dogs is quite amazing. Can you? How do you? The Malinois is your breed of choice, Kenan? Yes.
Yes.
How do you go about procuring the dogs? Do you breed them? Tell us a little bit about the sort of breeding and selection of your. It's quite a special job, mind detection. It's something that you can't get wrong. So tell us a bit about the process for selecting dogs to carry out such important work.
I think that mind detection is like a most demanding profession for a dog, and especially in the way how it's operated in the field, and so it really requires top of the dogs in the terms of being fit and motivating all the time, and work every day in a continuous manner in sometimes harsh conditions, and so it's really difficult to get good dogs, to get the right dogs for this job. At the beginning, in the first years, we used also German Shepherds, Labradors, and we started with Malinois just after a few years. So we didn't have them in the beginning. And of course, some other breeds can also, or better say, individuals can be good as mind detection dogs. But if we are talking about the characteristics of the breed, and we stick to Belgian Malinois. Definitely, and we tried a lot of things. We tried different bloodlines. We had litters also of German Shepherds, but so far the closest to our ideal of a good mind detection dog is Malinois. And so primarily it is about drives, and particularly prey drive. And all this work, all this training is based and built on the prey drive. This is something what you cannot make with your training, and this is something that you cannot influence much. And of course, you can improve it a little bit here and a little bit there. But in general, out of all drives and everything, of all inherited traits, and at least you can do is about the prey drives. So that's the first thing. The second thing is of course health and anatomy of dog. And so the Malinois are bred mainly for working trials, and so competition and sport dog, and from these sports, armies and the police started using them. So they actually got the sportsmen didn't take dogs from the army. So if you remember, the association for military or police dog is always a German Shepherd, at least in this part of the world. And but if you go back like 30 years, 30 years, they were still German Shepherds. And then if you just go back 10 years or even 15 years, it's like all Malinois. So yes, this is where they seek impression. They see that these dogs have something what is desired by a dog trainer and by dog professionals. And so why is that? This is because these dogs are selected based on their working traits, not because of their show anatomy and appearance in the show, on dog shows and ring. So that's what actually pulled out a German Shepherd from working dog world. And we still have like working German Shepherds bloodlines, and we have German Shepherd show lines, which is like two completely different breeds.
Yes,
But Malinois are mainly just for workings. Even there, you have some show lines and you have some different breeding purposes. So surprisingly, what is normally people are expecting that the detection dogs will be bred from something that has a good nose. So from the breeds that are known for using their nose. But the best results with training mine detections we got from actually ring bloodlines, so French and Belgian rings. So you can call it like a real working Belgian Shepherd. So why is that? It's because of this drive, mainly because of drive and the mental stability of a dog. And when it comes to the nose, my personal opinion is that all dogs have a good nose. So when it's about detecting what is undetectable for human and the tools developed by humans, it could be detected by almost any dog. But it's not only about detection; it's also about how long a dog can continuously work, can continuously be searching for something under instructions, under different and difficult conditions, and repeating it, after finding something, and then again and then again and again, for days, months, and years. So yeah, that's like for a little bit about a selection and about our breeds, and then of course the second part, yes, it's about a selection of bloodlines, it's about a selection of right traits, but it's also about the how the dog is shaped through its growth. So what was happening with the dogs from their birth, from their childhood till during their first months of training, to the point where they're becoming fully trained detection or any working dog. So we prefer, and the best results we achieved with the dogs we bred ourselves.
Yeah, I suppose getting sourcing your dogs from unwanted pets or from rescue centres is with doing the kind of work that you do. You as you say, you need to know from day one where that dog has been, what it's done, what its behaviour has been like. That's very important.
Definitely. Adoption of dogs, getting dogs from rescue shelters, it definitely is not an option. We do buy dog. We were buying dogs in some periods of, and we do buy dogs for breeding, but also for training and getting them to the field, and with intention to get them to the field. But still, it's a strict selection process, and it's always like a probation time involved. So we never know. Sometimes we are really impressed by the dog we are buying, and just after a couple of weeks or even months or more, it appears that the dog is not for what we wanted.
Yeah,
it doesn't work for us, and success rate is I would say almost the same like in other breeding. There is always percentage of puppies that will not succeed, that will not get through and become a mine detection dog, but still it's worth. In our case, it's worth effort and time of breeding dogs and raising them from a day one.
Yeah, you talk about percentages there. With your breeding, when with your litters, what has been the average sort of percentage that have passed and gone on to work as mine dogs? Have you had a high success rate?
I would say the average is 50%.
Okay.
With some litters, we had, that percentage was higher, even up to 90. And some litters, all dogs became good working dogs. And even if they didn't go through our training process for my detection dog, they got trained for some other purposes and became good dogs. And but some litters didn't work at all.
Okay.
So nobody qualified for mine detection dog, and it depends on several factors, but you cannot predict everything. It's a lot of things involved, and at the point when you are like sure that you know what you are doing, you actually realize that you know nothing.
Yeah. At what age do you start environmental training or any training of new young pups? What age are you starting?
Day one.
Day one.
Well, it goes like you can say, that the puppies have some kind of treatment from a first day they're born. So it's also the way who is approaching the litter. In one period, we also tried we were involved in research project called early neurological stimulations. So it was really like literally working with the puppies after the delivery, exposing them to different stresses. Yeah. And but at the end, it appeared that it really it wasn't scientifically proven, and so we just got back to our normal routines, which means that the litter should be exposed to the human sounds, like we have a radio playing in the litter room, and then after 4 weeks or something, so the puppies are taken for during the day from a mother, and then back to the litter. Then after a couple of weeks more, they are separated, and then first kept 2 by 2, and just to have a company. And after a week, 1 by 1, so they got their own kennel. But still, during the day, they are meeting each other for a playtime, and having some fun together. And at that age, when we are taking them out from a kennel and the litter box, we are sending them like to the different environments. So we have like puppy pens with different obstacles on different places. So just leaving the puppies in a different places in our compound is already socializing them and exposing them to the different environments, which helps them, learn to adapt to new situations. And when they are like separated from each other, the human handler, or we call it puppy activator, and he's like filling that gap and start playing with them, and first with some rugs, with some toys, and this play become more and more serious, and actually ending with search exercises. First search exercises are actually happening within all 9 to 12 weeks latest.
So yeah, that's quite young. A question has come in: at what age would the pups be experienced to their first test? So I'm thinking that is you saying, yes or no at that point. What age would that be, Kenan?
Yeah, we have so already for almost 15 years we have standardized. We call it 10-week test. So it's like a test of inherited traits, and it has like 19 segments, actually 16 main segments, and a couple of sub segments. And where we look at the prey drive, where we also look at the defense drive, prey drive also in terms of chasing and searching, which is and mental stability, or actually environment, new situation tolerance. And so that test is done when they are 10 weeks old, plus minus a couple of days, and that test determines are we keeping the puppy or we are giving it away. And sometimes our needs will dictate. In some cases, we will just keep the best puppies because the kennel is full, or we don't need. We don't plan to train more dogs. In some cases, we decide to give some puppies some more time, so to see, will they develop, will they become better after a while. But that test actually became quite relevant, and it really matches. It really predicts what may come later. Although we had some dogs completing a training that didn't score this test well.
Okay, that was my a question that I was going to have for you was how many dogs that passed the 10-week test went on to complete their training fully and be mind detection dogs, and did you have any dogs that didn't complete the 10-week test successfully that went on? That was one of my questions, actually.
Yeah, right now we have a dog. I will have to look to the results. There were hundreds and hundreds of puppies through that test, and so I don't really know that number exactly. But I have example. That by coincidence, the dog remained. First, it was decided that the trainers will give a chance, and then by coincidence, the dog remained in a training, and today it's fully trained dog.
And that was a dog that didn't do well in its 10-week test.
That was a dog that was disqualified during the 10-week test. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it doesn't mean just a remark, and it doesn't mean that this dog is good dog today, so that he has traits that we desire. He's a well-trained, and but if we today test his drives and some other traits, and he will not score excellent. And he has all elements of the training. He passed the training, and but if we look at his traits, just not a training, but him as a dog, and then we will see that it could be much better. And in the field, probably he will not be a champion. So yes, he will be able to work, but we will probably need to rest a little bit more often, and attention will be paid for his training, which is also not a bad thing when we have new projects, when we have trained new handlers which are introduced gradually into the mind detection handler profession. So it's not like from a day one you are starting clearing thousands of square meters daily. So it's like a bit by bit. And in these cases, it's better to have like a little bit more cooperative or in jargon, soft dog, and then fully drive, run, mind male Malinois.
Yeah. And so after the 10-week test, are the dogs then, as they go through their training, are they evaluated on a weekly or a monthly basis then, as to when they progress?
And during the training, after the 10-week test, so we have periodical tests also looking to the inherited traits, but also to the training progress. So training progress is recorded on a daily basis, but the tests are run periodically. it will be like every 2 months, or if needed, let's say like that. When it comes to the later training stages, so when they are almost to the end, and especially in the field, the test is done on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And it's different when we are during the training process. The dogs are tested according to progress in training, and also, so the same attention is like paid for just a technique of searching, for example, obedience, environmental skills, and detection. While in operational, dogs are tested just mainly for detection purposes. So they are like tested in the same way like they are used in the field.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I was really impressed with when I visited you was, and it wasn't until after you had shown myself and Damir, but all around your training facility, there are barcodes. There are barcodes on doors entering certain training areas, but they are everywhere. And it's amazing because the handlers, everywhere they go, they have to scan in and scan out when they are training a dog. So one of the examples that you told us to pick a dog, and you then went onto your laptop and you could actually give us a minute by minute breakdown of where it had been trained, what substance it had been trained on, and by who, for quality assurance, for mine detection dogs. Now, I've never seen anything like this before. Tell us a little bit about that, Kenan.
Yeah, actually, what we are trying to make a good quality management system, and we have it in the field. So the humanitarian mine action is very rigidly standardized and controlled process, simply because there are human lives at stake. Yeah. And that is also very relevant for training dogs to be used for this purpose. But I don't know how is it in UK, but here in Bosnia and in Balkans, and the dog trainers and dog handlers are not really happy about taking notes and providing reports. And they are there to train dogs, and there are other people doing research and analysis and typing reports. Yeah. So and normally the reports are understood for sake of reports. It's not about that that is something that we are learning from, that will be used in the future to make ourselves better. And so what we are trying is to simplify reporting and recording process as much as possible. And basically they are making very comprehensive report, and with a lot of information, with just a couple of scans. And first you have each dog has a code, but beside the name, dog also have an age and has a pedigree and has training and health history. So everything is hidden behind this QR code, which automatically goes to the database. And then you have a training area and activity. So yes, it's not like everywhere. It's in each training facility, but in each training facility we can do different activities. So for example, train on searching, imprinting and searching, or just on a search pattern. And then each facility have different features. And for example, you have trees there, so this training field is on a slope, this training field is in a wet area, this training field is in a perfect flat area, open area, closed area, bricks, walls, cars. So all of that is just in a table which is behind this QR code. And the handler is just entering the time when is he doing training session, scanning a code for a dog and scanning dog for code for the training activity at particular location. And at the end of the training, he will say how satisfied is with the progress of his training plan. And so did he achieve what he planned or he didn't achieve? So 1 to 5. And this is just like 3-4 clicks, and you have really big report, and you can actually sort everything, and later statistically analyze results of your dogs, of your trainers, but also to identify possible issues and problems for a particular dog. For example, a training area, for example, obstacle there. Is he good in every type of environment, or he prefers some, and some are weaker part?
Yeah. I must admit, I thought it was amazing, because at the end of a dog's training, you could go into its QR code and you could see how many hours it spent doing this on that substance. Amazing to see that when I was with you. A question that has come through my side here, Kenan, is from puppy to fully trained and able to go operational. How long does it take for a mine detection dog?
I would say from a date of birth till the first deployment in the field will be 18 months. And in some cases, we had actually dogs, and we deploy dogs even when they're just a year old. Some of them mature early and perform very well, so it's possible. But in some cases, they even after 2 years they are not mature enough and didn't complete the training. But 18 months, I would say that's an average, and this is what we plan with.
Yes.
And on the top of that, you will have a handler training, so it's a couple of more months of training for the dog.
Yeah. Okay, so I have another question here. Now, obviously, mines contain explosives, and the question that I've got here is how many scents or odors are the dogs trained on? And the question actually says, how many scents or odors are the dogs trained on, and are they just trained on commercial explosives?
That's a very good question. Mine detection dogs, in our case, are trained on mines and should be trained on mines. The targets, the mines, and the devices that you are finding in the field. But if we look to individual odors, that is smell of explosive that mine is charged with, but also smell actually odor of or casing and other components the mine is made of. And there are also some other factors in the environment might be contributing to the odor that is detected by a dog. And so all of our dogs are detecting between 5 to 15 different items, depends where they are deployed. And but if we would extract the odor, it's rather the bouquet of odor for each item and in particular environment, and then like a single odor. And so it's many more odors than just 5 or 15 items. And the imprinting process is not finished on a carousel or in a control environment. Once you teach a dog to recognize a particular smell, then you move to environment outside, so in the field, and dog needs to recognize that smell in the environment and then in several different environments. And this is a quite long process, and one of the most important processes in training mine detection dogs. And I hope it's clear, but it's often opening a debate, and I'm okay with that.
No, that's cool. As you say, a mine is.
Can I just interrupt you?
Yeah.
Just little second. Može neko upaliti svjetlo? Amra, I'm getting dark.
Ah, yes.
When we started, it was still a daylight.
Yeah. All I was going to say, Kenan, was as you say, it's I can't remember the word that you just used, but a mine. You has got several components, and it's a whole package of scent of odor, isn't it? So you train on when they're in the field, they're expected to pick up on all of that.
Exactly. And the word I use is bouquet. It's a French word used for smelling wine. And so you need these experts that are saying this wine is good or not. They're not talking about odor from the wine. They're talking about bouquet. Yes. So it's similar in this case. You can have a dog perfectly detecting mines and the various types of explosives in control environment. You can have the same dog detecting perfectly the mines underground in one environment, but if you move to the different type of soil or different type of vegetation, you may be surprised. So if you change your operating environment when you move, so you need to spend some time in training and let the dog time to acclimatize and to adapt to the local condition, including detecting the similar types of targets like what is expected in the field, in real operations.
Yes. One thing I noticed when I visited you as well, you had different soil types in one of your odor rooms, didn't you, Kenan?
Yes, this is what you saw is experimental, or actually the development of imprinting methods in our center. And so the idea is if we compare mine detection dog and explosive detection dog, and we will soon realize that the biggest difference and the biggest challenge is amount of odor available to the dog. While explosive detection dog deployed in airports, anti-terrorist unit, and these scenarios search for larger amounts of explosives, so kilograms. In best case, is a pack of couple of 100 grams, but it goes to the cars or even trucks filled with containers of explosives. Yeah. While in mine detection work, so landmines are underground, and in some in most of environments, it's very little odor available at the surface. So researches and then chemical analysis of the soils above the mines were conducted, and in fact, it's very little of the substance available on a surface, and so we are talking a millionth part. We are talking about nanograms.
Yeah,
and so if you can see it, it's still at best is a milligram. But if you can see it, the thing that you will be looking out in the field is hundreds, thousands times smaller than what you can see.
Yeah.
So, and the idea is, actually, it's already proven that it works. The dog actually can directly associate the smell of contaminated soil, and soon after, and actually you can work directly on that odor, and expect the same result like working on a pure explosive, even if smallest amounts.
Yes. There's another question that has come through, Kenan, is about the different depths that a mine would be, what is the sort of maximum depth that you would expect a dog to find a mine or have done?
It depends on environment. On Europe and this continental climates, environments are difficult. Where you have winter and where you have humid soils, organic substances. It's a difficult detection conditions.
Yeah.
And so we are talking about up to 10 centimeters, in some cases 15, and that's like a maximum. But in some dry or tropical environments where the sand is less organic and warmer and still humid, and it can go much deeper. We had the cases in the deserts of Jordan, in Aqaba deserts, dogs finding anti-tank mines down to meter.
Really?
Yeah, several miles and half meter of depth. And some deep items were also located in Cambodia. There were even trials conducted on a deep buried UXOs. And I don't remember now the official results, but I know that they were quite, positive about the ability of actually the capability of dogs to detect this stuff. Of course, they might be other cues involved, and it's a question about reliability. And but it's required that the dogs are tested for the targets that are buried on a depth as it's found in an operational area. So most of national standards and international mine action standards request down to 10 or 15 centimeters.
There's actually quite a few similarities between mine detection dogs and what Chris and Andrea do with the cadaver dogs, isn't there? Really, when you you have to consider soil types and obviously time and that kind of thing.
You have to consider several factors, and it's kind of micro. You have to be micrometeorology, and generally, there are limits. In different countries, you have different limits. Depends, how dogs are operated, but the temperature and the wind speed are the limit, and water on the ground.
Yeah,
you have it's prescribed in the standard procedures and the national standards. What is the maximal temperature, outside temperature when you can use the dogs, and minimum temperature, and also what's the wind speed. And in some cases also they're talking about the spots of water and humidity of the mud. You cannot use the dogs if it's muddy, or if you can see the water spots after the rain or something like that.
Yeah.
But I would say there are more environment and weather factors that are affecting not the dog's capability to detect, but availability of odor.
Yeah.
And so wind speed is not necessarily a limiting factor, but the way how wind is blowing and the direction of the wind and the way how is the dog used and during the wind blow is what needs to be considered. At the same time, the humidity is not affecting the availability of the odor in every type of the soil. In some cases, it dries quickly. In some cases, the people are expecting that when it's when the ground is drying after the rain, and when you can actually see vaporization, that is like a good detection condition. But that is actually saturating air above the ground with the moist, which is very difficult for a dog. And there you have another element, which is a heat stress. And so all of these factors are really affecting. They are generally in practice, they are simplified and simply explained with a yes or no by a person making decision, which is a dog team leader or a trainer in charge.
Yeah.
But if you break down all these factors, it's it's a science which is still not fully explained.
Explained, yeah. So
Sorry, just a second, please.
Yeah.
Better now.
Now you have lights now.
Now it's better.
So
Sorry for this.
no problem. We have there's a few more questions, Kenan. So hopefully this will work this week. This is a question. I have a feeling this is a question from Luke, who is a former army dog handler here in the UK. And he's asking, when moving from a controlled environment to a different environment, such as outside, how would you start that imprinting process for the first time?
To the next room. And so, yeah, you actually saw it yourself. So the first control environment is like nothing but the cups where the odor is placed. We call it, everyone calls it carousel. And it's not used only by us, it's used by several other detection dog training schools. And then from there, we move to a room where you have different objects. So we have like bricks, and we really like these red bricks with the several holes where you can hide the things. And in that environment, dog searches in a way he's used to search for a Kong and his toys before. And then these bricks are moved outside and actually placed on a ground. And then in the ground, you can have a holes or like pieces of pipes, or you can have your substance or your target on the top of in just an open area. So that's the system. Outside is a grass, or I don't know, simple. How I call it equal environment. So without changes. So like shouldn't be a lot of flowers or naked spots without the grass or different types of grass. So it should be equal, or it can be without grass. And then in that environment, you are going for the targets underground. And the important thing here is that you cannot work on a freshly buried targets. And you have to wait not for a days, but for a month before you will send the dog to search for buried mice. And shall I talk about that, or we will wait a question regarding?
Yeah. Hopefully that's answered Luke's question. I have another question here. So it's a lady from Norway. Yeah. You know her?
Of course, she's one of us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So can you see the question, Kenan?
Yes, there is one question, two questions, three questions. Okay, how big target you are using while training mine dogs, and what is the target? And well, Maya, you know there are several targets, and but when we move to target substance, then it will be just a piece like that you can barely see, or it can be like a half of the nail in a bigger biggest cases, and soon after it can be just that you don't see, that you just leave the thing and then you remove it from the spot. What do we use for the motivation of our dogs? So probably Maya's thinking about the Kong, and yeah, the main motivation is actually in the dog. That's the drive. That's a dog drive for prey. It's hunting drive, and we formalize it. We institutionalize it as in the form of a Kong toy.
Yeah.
So the Kong toy replaced a rabbit, replaced a deer, and in our case, this is motivation forever. And so that's what dog works for, even if it doesn't get it every time. How accurate is the code reading on training MDDs, and is it done only by one trainer or different trainers for same dog? And yeah, each trainer has application, and the one who is reporting, it's his phone and his email login details. So as a system, it can be several trainers, one dog, or several dogs, one training. And how accurate is, I'm not sure what, Maya, what do you mean with that? And but maybe she refers, and how accurate are the trainers with reporting a system? And I can say, I don't know, I don't follow everyone, and when they are scanning the codes, but it's actually very easy to spot if it's irregular. And so you can actually see the pattern on duration, and if you want to fake it, you really need to put an effort in that.
Yeah.
And actually faking it requires more time than actually doing it. And so you cannot train dogs and fake code reading, or you can do it either training dogs or faking the code reading.
And I would imagine, Kenan, that anyone that's training mind detection dogs has got a real passion and enthusiasm, and they want to do it. They're in the wrong place, really. You know, that then you're not going to have anyone that's faking it, are you? I wouldn't have thought. You know, they're dedicated to doing their job, aren't they?
And well, yeah, they are. Other people are good. You know, they won't be there. And everywhere we work is. It became like a standard, like a pride of the program, and they're always recognized as the leading example when it comes to the usage and the training of mind detection dogs. But the thing is that you know, mind action is still a big business, and is still a lot of different players with different motivations involved, and it's different comparing other dog professions, dog training professions, where there are quality managed by a dog trainers or dog instructors.
Yeah.
In several countries, the testing of dogs is not conducted by dog people. And that opens a room and for manipulation. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And so you know, if people will take advantage on anything, and it's a human nature.
Yeah. We're at 58 minutes, Kenan, but there's just, if you've got time, there's just a couple more questions that I'd like you to answer. So there's a question here. Have you found that different odorants move through different soil types at different speeds?
Good, very good question. I would say that we don't know what speed is it, but the question is very good, and yes, different odorants are available in a different amounts and in a different ways in different soil types. And yeah, we can talk about this for hours. Yeah, but in some cases, you know, the soil is healing quickly, and odor becomes available directly. In some cases, is really difficult. In some cases, after winter, after winter in Sarajevo, for example, some mines are difficult to detect, while others are easily detectable or easier detectable. But even if these easily detectable mines have less explosives and less smelly, let's say like that, less volatile explosive substance. For example, it's PMA-free, Yugoslavian mine PMA-free in comparison with PMR-2, for example, which have an open TNT bigger block.
Okay.
I hope it's Rob. I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
Yeah. Rob trains the medical detection dogs over in the UK, Kenan. So he's training dogs to find cancers, COVID-19, and that kind of thing at the moment. So
yes, you already started with COVID-19.
I think.
Okay, yeah, it's because I was thinking it's not a bad idea at all.
I think medical detection dogs in the UK have started something with COVID-19, and I know that Rob is part of that. So so that question came. That's who that question came from. We've got another question. So this is another question. This is from a police dog instructor here in the UK, Kenan.
How do you get around training all heights? You've spoken about depth, but what about the age, soak time of the mine? Okay, yeah, what's the age of our training cars? Yeah, yes, it does make sense, absolutely. There are several training areas, and you have a training areas with the mines in the ground, and currently in GTC, the one that you were actually you were at both places in a military compound and also another. Other mines are laid at the beginning, so in 2004, and so it's 10, and in some cases the mines were replaced and reburied, but that training area is that old. The one that is on another place is more than a year now. And so, as I said before, maybe Steve, you missed. And if you are going for a buried mice, that needs to be at least few months old. In the Bosnian cases, I would say it's a winter, and in sandy soils, I would say 3 months, if and some rains or watering required. But there are also other heights that can be used for maintaining mine detection dogs and doing some tests, and that's of course pieces, small pieces on the surface, and the contamination, where you just leave something like on a fishing rod, and for some minutes, hours, depends, you decide, and you remove it, and you search only for the what is left, for the odor, what is left after that piece. And in the cases you are using pieces and the contamination, you should use other distractors also. So like a false alarm provokers.
Yeah.
And for explosive detection, we use this heights in a stainless tube, and we leave it, and depends on the case, but the tests are done after 24 hours.
Okay, hope that answers that, Steve. So there's a question. I'm clicking on it, but it won't come up on the screen, Kenan. It's about the working the dogs. How much time do they spend actually working? And then so I think where he's coming from, in the UK, some people would work their detection dogs 20 minutes on, 20 minutes rest, and so on. How do you work it with mine detection dogs?
Mine detection dogs in the field, it depends on the conditions at the particular time at the particular place, and in some cases it's like a 1 hour break. In some cases it's like a continuous work up to maximally 4 hours, and if weather allows, if temperature allows, and but you would take break before dog gets tired. So in some cases you will work few minutes and take a break. In some cases you will work half an hour without interruption. So you have, for example, this long leash search pattern where handler stays on a safe area and sends dogs in a straight line 10 meters ahead, and dog search 10 meters forward and 10 meters back towards the handler. Then he moves half meter to the side, and this moving, so dog is coming by foot and the handler is pointing again to the ground and giving a command. So this is like a short break. But after, let's say, 5, 10, or 20 lines, the handler will take a break of a couple of minutes, maybe 5, maybe 10. So it's discretion of the handler.
Because you search in the 10-meter squares, don't you, Kenan?
Yeah, that's the most common site layout, but doesn't have to be 10 by 10. Okay. It can be also 10 by 25, 10 by 50. So we have we distinguish boxes, which is usually 10 by 10, or panels, 25 and more. Okay. But in some cases there is no boxes. So, for example, in technical service, when we are opening, breaching lines with the dogs, and there is no box. The dogs just search straight and back, and then after 2 dogs, you will actually mark that line.
Yeah, I was quite lucky to, during our 4 or 5 days with you earlier this year, quite lucky to see the dogs working. And for someone that, like myself, that just normally works drugs dogs and tobacco dogs and explosive dogs, to see the mine detection dogs working is unbelievable. They are really sort of dedicated to the task, aren't they? It's quite lovely to see. Well, I've got loads of videos which I took at your centre and also with the Bosnian Army, because the dogs that the Bosnian Army use are supplied by yourselves, aren't they, Kenan?
Yes, we provide them. We actually with the handler training and the dogs as well.
Yeah. So, right, we're going to take. We're going over a little bit, but I'm just
problem. I'm okay. Yeah.
The last.
I know.
last couple of questions. Another one, if it will work. Ah, yes. This is from Luke again. With regards to freshly buried outdoor, how long would you leave the environment to recover before searching?
As I said, 3 months at least. So freshly buried, no, it's not acceptable. And the dogs are naturally motivated to look for living beings, so animals and humans, and actually dogs. They are the members of their pack. And it's not only individual odor, it's not only what we smell, it's also what we leave on the ground. So when we what dog is tracking, dog is also tracking the disturbance of the soil. When somebody walks and actually leaves tracks, and as a police dog handler and everyone, that after even a day, in some cases even longer, dog can follow a track on earth and sand, gravel, whatever. And so now can you imagine what cues are you leaving when you are digging something?
Yeah.
And yes, of course, you can make, we call it blind holes, and you dig several holes, but only one contains mine or hide a target. And but it's still a cue. So dog is going to check hole to hole, and he's actually learning that the target, that the hide is always in one of these holes, while in reality it's actually the mine is becoming a part of environment. And only way to detect it, to find this, is to recognize the odors that are actually remain there for all this years, for all these times after it's placed in the ground.
Brilliant. That's cool. So we have just 2 more questions, and that's it, Kenan.
Okay.
This one is from Simon. So Simon was our first speaker on K9 Live Talk. Have you come across deliberate ways to stop dogs detecting the minds?
I'm afraid that I didn't really get this one. So I would ask him. Maybe it's very. I would ask him to rephrase the question if I don't answer in the right way, if I misunderstood the question.
Yeah.
But I think that for missing minds, for stop to stop detect minds, you just have to stop rewarding dogs and stop training for a longer period of time. And so, for example, if you do anything, if the dog detects any substance, and you are not rewarding it today, tomorrow, after tomorrow, 1 week, so the reflex, what he learned, it will just disappear.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's what he meant. Yeah.
I think what he's asking, Kenan, is we touched on it with Chris. To put the dogs off finding bodies, they were burying pigs above them. Are there any tactics that people have used to put the dogs off finding mines?
I would say that it's in detection of landmines, it becomes relevant after a while. So if we are to search after freshly buried mines, for example, like in the war, like they did in the Vietnam War with the survey dogs, with scout dogs, and it's not only a smell of explosives or bouquet of the mine, as I explained. There is also the dogs should also be trained for the things that were buried, so for the fresh traces of human work. In these cases, there might be a way to try to hide the odor of the landmine, but still the dog behavior can tell us that there is something. So the dog will smell. They may not indicate, but the handler can recognize that the dog is attracted by something. In the case of changing behavior. In the case of mines that are in the ground for years, so everything artificial disappears. And mine detection dogs in general have a higher rate of false alarms comparing the other detection dogs, and that's because of generalization. So there are like different items and several different types, and we also, especially after you work after mechanical ground preparation, when the mines are broken in pieces and dogs are detecting different parts, they will also detect something that is not mine. They will recognize, and but personally, I would prefer that dog detect something that he's not trained for than not detecting what he's trained for.
I think I'm with you on that one. Okay, so last question, and this is from someone who's going to be speaking on here in a couple of weeks, from Ilka Hormiller, Kenan.
Sit.
You know Ilka?
I'm not sure because I don't see a picture.
No picture. Ilka is former Finnish police dog instructor for many years. And he is asking, what kind of alert behavior do you want the dogs to have?
Sitting.
Yeah.
Sitting and focus towards the target, towards the source of odor. So there is only one way. So it must be a passive indication, and we train dogs to sit and focus there. And so we have several examples on our Facebook page and then photos, and you can find it.
Yeah. I was going to say to people that Norwegian People's Aid Global Training Center has a Facebook page, and there's lots of videos on there of the dogs and handlers doing their stuff. So go and have a look; it's really informative. And that's it, Kenan. That's we've an hour and 15 minutes.
Am I the longest?
You are. I think you are.
Yeah. As usual.
Thank you very much for your time. I've whilst we've been on here, my phone and my iPad has been going crazy. People are messaging and saying this is brilliant, this is good, very informative. So I think people have enjoyed it. Certainly, mine detection dogs are they're not your normal types of detection dogs, and certainly here in the UK, people would never have the opportunity to see a mine detection dog or you see one working. So listening to everything that you've had to say has been very interesting. So thank you, Kenan, very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
No,
I've really enjoyed this, and this is very, very good idea. So we don't have these talks often, even in a mine action world, the dog trainers and dog people rarely gathers and talks in this way.
Yeah.
I'm also very curious about the other speakers, and I enjoyed listening to Damir and Chris. And this is really good, So I hope, the one good thing that's coming out from Corona is this show, and I hope we can continue something like this after Corona as well.
Oh yes, yeah.
So thank you for starting this up.
No problem. And it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be possible without great speakers like you. And I hope as soon as this pandemic is over that I'll be able to visit you again. And there are a lot of things that I enjoyed about my visit to Sarajevo. Visiting your center was amazing, and you arranged visits for me to visit various police departments with working dogs and the army. But one of my highlights was visiting probably the best restaurant that I've ever visited anywhere in the world, Restaurant Brailovich.
Great. So I will tag them on this video. So this is I don't think they have expected to get the advertisement at this channel.
Amazing restaurant, amazing. But no, thank you, Kenan. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully, we'll have you back in a couple of weeks or a couple of months' time to talk. Your subject is so big. It's like Chris Nikolich's subject. It's so big you can't squeeze it into an hour. So hopefully we'll be able to have you back again and do it again, Kenan.
Anytime. Every dog area is a big subject, so we cannot squeeze it in an hour. And we dog people can talk about that.
And I've just had a message through actually. A confirmation of another speaker, so I can announce here live that Jokke Berlin.
Oh, he's coming too. Yeah, welcome, Jokke.
So he has agreed to come and speak on here. So I know you know Jokke quite well.
Yeah, it's been 20 years. Yeah,
it's
more than 20 years since I met him first time, I think.
So like yourself, another great speaker. So thank you for your time, Kenan, and let's just speak to you later.
Yeah, all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks for questions, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, so brilliant. That was amazing. Kenan's a really nice guy, and the subject is just unbelievable. So can't thank him enough. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see who the upcoming speakers are. As you've just heard, Jocke Berlin has agreed to come on here and speak. So Jocke is Swedish police. He was also he was one of the top guys for the United Nations. He's worked mine detection dogs, so he's going to come on here and speak. And we've got Ilka Hormiller coming up. So if you keep an eye on our Facebook page, then that's where all the news is happening. Thank you for watching, and thanks again, Kenan. See you soon. Bye-bye.